Have you ever wondered if your cat feels truly happy when you're not around? What if I told you that behind those quiet purrs and calm eyes, your cat could be secretly lonely, and you don't even realize it? Cats are masters of hiding their emotions, and the signs of loneliness are often so subtle that most owners miss them, until it's too late. In this video, we're going to uncover the 5 heartbreaking signals your cat may be sending you right now. Quiet cries for connection that reveal just how deeply they need you. Stay with me until the end, because knowing these hidden signs could completely change the way you understand your cat. One of the most overlooked signs of a lonely cat hides in the way they sleep. Most cats naturally sleep a lot, anywhere from 12 to 16 hours a day. But there's a difference between healthy cat naps and the kind of sleep that comes from boredom or sadness. Think about it. When life feels empty or there's nothing to look forward to, even humans retreat into sleep as an escape. Cats are no different. A lonely cat will often spend longer stretches curled up in quiet corners, not because they're tired, but because there's nothing else for them to do. Their naps stop looking restful and start looking heavy, almost as if they're trying to sleep the loneliness away. You might notice your cat choosing places that feel especially isolated: the top of a closet, under the bed, behind furniture. It's not just a search for warmth or safety. Sometimes it's their way of disappearing, of pulling away from a world that doesn't feel connected to them anymore. And when you think back, you might realize that these long hours of solitude aren't what your cat used to do when they felt more engaged and loved. Imagine walking into your bedroom and seeing your cat curled tightly in a ball at the far end of the bed, barely moving, barely reacting when you call their name. At first, you may think, oh, they're just resting. But if this scene repeats day after day, it's worth asking yourself, is my cat really resting, or are they silently waiting for something that never comes? My time? My voice? My companionship? This kind of loneliness-driven sleep can become a cycle. The less stimulation and connection a cat feels, the more they retreat into sleep. And the more they sleep, the less opportunity they have for positive interaction. Over time, it chips away at their spirit. But here's the hopeful part. Once you recognize this, you can break the cycle. Loneliness isn't permanent. Your cat is waiting for you to notice, and when you do, even small changes in your attention can bring them back to life. Another quiet but powerful sign of loneliness is the way your cat greets you, or doesn't. Cats are famous for their independence, but when they truly bond with you, they become deeply invested in your presence. If you've ever walked through the door and found your cat waiting, tail flicking, eyes wide, maybe even meowing, you know how much that little ritual can mean. But here's the hidden truth. When a cat greets you at the door with unusual intensity, it's not always just excitement. Sometimes it's relief. Relief that their period of loneliness has ended, at least for now. Picture this. You push the key into the lock after a long day, and before the door even swings open, you hear it, the plaintive cry of your cat. As you step inside, they're right there, winding between your legs, rubbing against you as if they can't get close enough. It feels sweet, even flattering. But what if it's also their way of saying, "Where have you been? I've missed you so much it hurt." Lonely cats often develop a habit of waiting by the door or windows for their humans to return. They may spend hours perched in the same spot, staring at the door, ears flicking at every sound from the hallway or outside. It's almost as if they're counting down the moments, holding on to the hope that you'll walk in soon. Some cats take this even further. They'll vocalize the second they sense you're near, crying out before you even step into the room, pacing restlessly as if they've been building up the energy of loneliness all day. While many people mistake this for simple affection or hunger, it can actually be a plea for reassurance. A lonely cat greets not just with love, but with need. And sometimes the opposite is true. Instead of greeting you with joy, they might sulk, turning their back on you, hiding away as if to say, "You left me. I felt alone." This too can be loneliness disguised as aloofness. Whether desperate greetings or cold indifference, both extremes point to the same root: a cat that feels the absence of connection more deeply than you realized. Loneliness also shows itself in your cat's voice. Cats are naturally vocal in different ways. Some breeds, like Siamese, are chatterboxes, while others are quieter. But what matters most isn't the breed, it's the change. When a cat feels lonely, their vocal patterns often shift. Maybe your usually quiet cat suddenly meows more, calling out in the middle of the night, or whenever the house feels too still. Those cries aren't random. They're attempts to bridge the silence, to call for someone who isn't there. It's their way of saying, I need you. I don't want to be alone right now. On the other hand, some cats retreat into silence. A cat that once chirped, trilled, or meowed throughout the day may suddenly grow quiet, almost as if they've given up trying to be heard. This change is easy to overlook because life gets busy, but for a lonely cat, silence can be as loud as crying. Imagine sitting at your desk, working late into the night. The house is quiet, except for the faint sound of your cat meowing from another room. At first, you ignore it. Maybe they just want food, you think. But the meows keep coming. Softer, sadder, until they fade away. Later, you find your cat curled up in the hallway, eyes heavy, as if they had been searching for you and finally gave up. That moment, small as it seems, is loneliness speaking through sound. Other times, their voice takes on new tones. A lonely cat may develop longer, drawn-out meows, or a plaintive, almost crying quality. It's not just feed me or play with me, it's don't leave me alone. And just like people, each cat has its own way of vocalizing sadness. Some become clingy talkers, following you from room to room with constant chatter. Others retreat, their once lively voices growing quiet. Both are signals of the same need: companionship. The key is noticing the shift. If your cat's voice sounds different, more desperate, more frequent, or strangely absent, it may be their way of telling you that the silence of loneliness has become too heavy for them to bear. Sometimes, loneliness doesn't show up in sound or sleep. It shows up in behavior that looks almost mischievous. If your cat has suddenly started knocking things off shelves, scratching furniture more than usual, or getting into places they never used to, it may not just be bad behavior. It may be loneliness disguised as trouble. Think of it this way. When cats feel bored or isolated, they need an outlet for all that pent-up energy and frustration. With no one around to play with or interact with, they create their own form of entertainment. And often, that entertainment comes at the expense of your belongings. Picture this. You're sitting in the living room and you hear a crash from the kitchen. You rush in, only to find your cat sitting innocently next to a cup they've just swatted to the floor. Their eyes meet yours, wide and curious, as if to say, "Finally, you noticed me." Many owners mistake this for stubbornness or even spite, but often it's a lonely cat's way of saying, "I need your attention. I need connection." Loneliness-driven mischief can take many forms. Some cats scratch doors, paw at cabinets, or even knock repeatedly at closed rooms just to provoke a reaction. Others climb to high shelves or sneak into forbidden spaces, forcing you to chase after them. From their perspective, even being scolded is better than being ignored. It's heartbreaking when you think about it. These small acts of naughtiness aren't about defiance. They're about reaching out the only way they know how. Just like a child who acts out to get their parents' attention, a lonely cat disrupts the peace because silence is even harder to bear. And here's the trickiest part. Many owners punish these behaviors without realizing the deeper cause. Instead of solving the loneliness, punishment only widens the gap, leaving the cat feeling even more unseen. So the next time your cat does something that seems out of character, knocking over objects, scratching in unusual places, or suddenly becoming more destructive, pause and ask yourself, are they really misbehaving, or are they trying to break the silence of loneliness in the only way they can? Loneliness often reveals itself in the little routines your cat clings to when you're not around. One of the most touching and heartbreaking is when your cat starts shadowing your scent. Cats rely heavily on smell for comfort. Your scent is their anchor, their reminder that they belong to you. When they're lonely, they may curl up on your clothes, nest in your laundry basket, or bury themselves in blankets that smell like you. At first, it looks adorable. Who doesn't melt when their cat is sleeping on their sweater? But if it's happening more and more, it may be more than just a cozy nap spot. It may be their way of holding on to you when you're not there. Imagine walking into your room and finding your cat curled up on the shirt you tossed aside before bed. They press their nose into the fabric, eyes closed, purring faintly. To us, it's cute. To them, it's survival. Your scent becomes their substitute for your presence, a fragile thread that holds off the emptiness. Sometimes, this attachment extends even further. A lonely cat might drag your clothing or belongings into places where they sleep, creating a little nest of you. They may paw at your shoes, rub against your backpack, or even guard objects that smell like you as if they're priceless treasures. It's their way of saying, "I miss you so much that I need to surround myself with the closest piece of you I can find." And while some cats naturally enjoy sleeping on laundry or beds, the difference lies in the frequency and intensity. When your cat seems almost obsessed with anything that smells like you, it's a signal that they're craving your presence more than ever. It's a bittersweet image, your cat wrapping themselves in your scent like a child hugging a blanket. Sweet, yes, but it's also a quiet reminder. They're lonelier than you realized, and the simple comfort of your smell is the only thing keeping them company until you return.